Matt Rule said has only gotten to know Brett Bielema during time in the Big Ten. All right. Coach Bielema heads up a Big Ten coaches group chat. There's a coaches group chat in the Big Ten. Is that real?
Yeah, Matt Rule's talked about it before. Brett Bielema leads it, so that's a good deal.
First of all, how does he lead it? No disrespect, but how does he lead it? All right, this man actually left the Big Ten, went to the SEC, Wisconsin to Arkansas, got fired, and then came back. So how does that guy lead it?
I think he's won the Big Ten like 3 times, though. I mean,
no, we're going to ignore that, okay?
That'd be my
Yeah, we're going to ignore that. Remember what I said about facts? All right, earlier in the show. But there's a, dude, I would, oh my God. They should take screenshots of this coach's chat. What is said in this? Imagine if Lane Kiffin was in the Big Ten and he was a part of this group chat. Are you kidding me? What this would entail? Oh, what about Ryan Day and Harbaugh? Everyone knows it was Ryan Day that exposed the sign-stealing gate. Oh, man. I want to see some screenshots. I bet Matt Rule's like the nicest guy in that chat, too. Just very nice and respectful. And I bet other people get after each other. Or maybe they don't because they're afraid of screenshots. All right, Micah Mazuka will not play this week, not injured. It was interesting when Rule was talking about, why he didn't do as much last week. He ended that, how he addressed that by saying, he's still with us. And I thought that was so random. Like, you got to imagine this was a week ago. Okay, right after the game, I mean. He's like, he's still with us. And I was like, huh? Why would that need to be put in there? That's a random thing. And if I remember right, he missed a bunch of practices in the spring for some reason. And Rule talked about him kind of coming along, but there wasn't a whole lot in depth done on that. I remember at the time wondering, is that physical? Is that something else? Is that adjustment to a new place? I mean, he's gone from Baylor to Florida to Nebraska. How different can it be? Other than Nebraska's God's country and Waco. Good Lord. My point is simply this. Gainesville's actually a lot better, but the Florida Gators are not. Billy Napier, man. God's prayers, Godspeed and prayers, my friend. All right. When it comes to Mazuka, said he's working through some stuff. I don't have a whole lot more to add. I'm not going to speculate on that either. I just found it interesting. Now we have a little bit more info without a whole lot more info. But after the game and Rules like he's still with us. And obviously now we know he's working through some stuff. So whatever he's working through, I wish him nothing but the best. But Rule says Henry Letufsky is healthy and ready to go as a starter at that spot. Was earmarked as a starter coming in. This is one of the strongest guys on the team. Maybe the strongest guy on the team. He started in the past. Okay, I don't have a whole lot of concerns about Letufsky stepping right in. Illinois has altered what they do defensively since last season when Nebraska won 20-7. I would hope so. Illinois was terrible on defense a year ago. Says Nebraska's O-line has done a really good job, but won't know anything about the group until Big Ten play. And that's kind of what I said. If you watch my recent chronicles, I talked about how the offensive line has played pretty well, but we don't really know anything. The pass protection is much better this year. All right. The run game hasn't been as consistent. I know we haven't ran the ball as much. We haven't needed to run the ball as much. When we do run the ball, I haven't felt like it was as good as a year ago. And it should be more open to gaining more yards per carry. First of all, we haven't played anybody that's a great run defense. But if the passing game is working, it should open more, whether you're running the ball more or not, yards per carry when you do run the ball. And I haven't seen that so far. I'm not saying we're not, like we're doing bad run blocking. I'm simply saying I felt like it was better a year ago. Now, maybe because last year we ran block really well and we didn't pass protect very well at all. So maybe the emphasis was more on the pass protection, knowing we got a true freshman quarterback. You only have so much time in the day. So maybe that's why the pass protection is better. And I'm not saying the run blocking is worse because like Matt Rule said, we're going to learn a lot more now that we're entering Big Ten play versus a ranked team. But up to this point, I haven't been as impressed as I was a year ago. We're going to learn a lot more about this offensive line going forward. All right. Matt Rule understands the gravity of Friday being the 400th consecutive sellout every single home game since 1962. That's over 60 years. There are no other fans under God's hot sun like Husker fans. That is just a fact. That's a fact. All right. Matt Rule said, and I quote, "My job, though, is to make sure we end that game." Love the English. I was once going to be an English major, and then I realized how much Shakespeare and Hamlet I'd have to read, and the next day I was not. I actually went to general studies because I had no idea what the heck I wanted to do. I ended up getting a business degree, I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up. Hopefully I'll figure it out someday, Jake. All right, Jamari Butler will be available on Friday. Rule said he put twos into the game earlier against Northern Iowa because of the short week coming up. If you watch the game, other than Raiola, you could kind of see that, and that makes sense. I felt like he honestly kept maybe a player or two out of the game that could have played for the same reason. And I love this. With all due respect to being 3-0, with all due respect to winning all of our non-conference games this year, here's what Rule said. Non-conference is, and I quote, the preseason, and now the season begins with the stakes higher in league play. He's correct. The competition level goes up. The stakes are higher. Although I will say the Colorado game, that was not just a preseason game. That was a big momentum win. Defense didn't like how they tackled against Northern Iowa. Rule said, we'll find out how physical the Huskers are Friday. I did not like, and then he turned out to be right, the Northern Iowa's coach clearly felt they could just line up and run the ball and hit the Huskers in the mouth. He clearly came into the game feeling that way, and then they were able to do it more effectively than anybody in Nebraska would have liked, including Matt Rule, Tony White, and all the black shirts. I have a feeling they're going to be out to prove something this Friday, talking about the black shirts, Tony White. I'm looking forward to seeing how they play. Rule said it's really hard to focus on specific situations during the weeks in the season. Haven't had many difficult situations with 3 straight games in hand at halftime. Again, we will learn more in the near future about this team. Having to find a way to do more situational stuff in practice. And just so people know, you will do short yardage and goal line, and you will do red zone drills, and you will do blitz drills, and you will do 9-on-7, which is basically inside run. Everybody knows it's a run, offense, defense. Why the offense gets 9 players, defense gets 7, I don't know. But it's called 9-on-7 drill. Then you do 7-on-7, which is all passing. So they do all sorts of situations. What he's saying, he's trying to put the players in, that's the norm. He's trying to put players in really difficult game-like situations because they haven't experienced it in an actual game yet this year. Kai Wallen could have played last year, but redshirted. Kai can mix in with the 2s and even the 1s. Defensive lineman, by the way. Keep your eye on him. All right, Riley Van Poppel will redshirt. Says he can play 8 to 10 plays a game this year, or could be Ty Robinson in the future. What a compliment. By the way, Ty leads the Huskers in sacks so far this year with 2 on the season. All right. Rule said he told Ty Robinson he should leave and go make some money, but guys like Ty are why guys like me coach. That's what Rule said about the conversation he had when Ty was trying to figure out what to do, stay at Nebraska or go to the NFL. Ty is a guy who's completely, first of all, he loves Nebraska football, and he's completely bought into what Matt Rule is doing. So even though Rule told him to go make money, he came back because of what he believes in and what he's bought in, which is Rule and what Rule's building. All right, long snapping was great. We were rotating long snappers. Not a highly covered story, but if we have a bad long snap in a game, it'll be talked about a lot, so Rule's trying to get ahead of that. All right, and it looks like he's going to continue to maybe rotate the long snappers based on a long punt, a short punt, etc. And I've said this before. Rule talked about advantages to the home team during a short week. Use of your own facilities and not having to travel, especially, like obviously the advantage is always to the home team to a degree. But the shorter the week is, the more tired you are, the less time you have, the more condensed everything is time-wise. And then if you don't have to worry about travel and sleeping somewhere else it's a really nice hotel, really nice bed, but it's still somewhere else, the advantage grows for the home team. So I think that's going to help Nebraska on Friday as well. Have to be mentally, physically, and emotionally ready to go. All right. Preseason fluff is not real. Got to be ready to go. It was interesting. Throughout the preseason, throughout the off-season, preseason, whatever you want to call it, non-conference, off-season leading into the non-conference, what Rule calls the preseason. I kind of like that. A lot of people jumping on the Nebraska bandwagon, even in the offseason. And there's different ways you can measure this. One way I could measure it is I probably did, and I'm fortunate and blessed that people, frankly, give a crap what I have to say. So thank you for that. But I did about 10 to 12 national interviews with national shows throughout the summer. Not because of me. It's because of Nebraska football and what people were anticipating. So the hype was starting to build. And now we're 3-0. You got the big win against Colorado. Maybe they're not as god-awful as we think, or Colorado State is just that god-awful. Who knows? 28-9. I think that was the score. I quit watching after it was like 28-3. It was like watching Texas, but it was Colorado. Ugh. Talking about the Colorado State game in Fort Collins. Those poor Rams players. Now they have to go back to going to hikes and pretending like they're going to go skiing, but the ski resorts are actually 3 hours away from Fort Collins, so you can't even do that. Goodness gracious. Jay Norvell, my man. He's a really good football coach. I'm rooting for you out there in Fort Collins, my friend. But as the hype grows around Nebraska, you see more national eyes. But even before we won a game, I told my wife, I said, I don't like it. I don't want people talking about us. I want people to think we suck. And then I want to kick their butts. And they're so caught off guard, they have no idea what's coming. So when Rule says preseason fluff is not real, got to be ready to go now, I love it. All right, Illinois has a big power running game with mobile quarterback and 2 explosive wide receivers on the outside. Northern Iowa was a great tune-up for Big Ten play. In particular, a team like Illinois who has 2 really good running backs and they're a run-the-ball first offense. I think that's probably going to help the Black Shirts a little bit. And the fact that they're not happy with how they played versus the Panthers on Saturday will help them because now they have things to address and motivation is even at another level. Tommy Hill and Marquise Buford and the DBs will have to do well. What that tells me, they're probably going to stack the box. Rule didn't say it, but why would he specifically single out the 2 cornerbacks against Illinois, who has 2 good receivers, but you're not sitting here shaking in your boots? If he's talking about them, my gut tells me that means they're going to be a little bit more on an island because we're going to be stacking the box with maybe 8, 9 players in the box, maybe blitzing a little bit more than we have. Just speculation, but it would make sense to me. All right, last thing here. Most of this week is the same for Nebraska schedule-wise, despite the game being on a Friday. Sunday was slightly different, and Thursday will be a walkthrough. All right, ladies and gentlemen, those are my thoughts. That's my reaction to Matt Rule's press conference. God, I'm trying to find something that I didn't like. I don't like saying all positive stuff. It comes across like BS preseason fluff, as Matt Rule said. I just liked it. I don't know what else to say. It is what it is.